For these questions, we are going to put each fraction in its simplest form. The directions say divide each fraction by 2 until it is in its simplest form. And that just means we're going to make it into a fraction that's still equivalent but has the smallest numbers possible. So how do you know when a fraction is in its simplest form? Because we know we can make a fraction simpler, but at some point it's in its simplest form. Well, you'll know it's in its simplest form if it has 1 as a numerator. So any fraction like 1/2 or 1/3 or 1/4 or 1/5, etc. are all in their simplest form already. Also, if the numerator and denominator are in counting order, then the fraction's in simplest form, such as 1/2. See how it's in counting order? 1 then 2, or 2/3, 2 then 3, or 3/4, or 4/5, or 6/7. Anytime the numerator and denominator go in counting order, then it's in its simplest form. Another way is if the denominator is prime. So since 3 is a prime number, 1/3 is in its simplest form. Since 5 is a prime number, 2/5 is in its simplest form. 4/7, because 7 is prime. 11 is a prime number. So anytime, even if you had 6/11 or 7/11 or 8/11, anytime you have a prime number as the denominator, it's already in simplest form. Or if none of those work, you can always see if they have any common factors. If the only factor they have in common is 1, then it's already in its simplest form. So let's do some of these together. For number 1, we have 16/24. Since they're both even, I know I can divide them both by 2 at least one time. So 16 divided by 2 would be 8, and 24 divided by 2 would be 12. So I've made a simpler form, but they're still both even, so I know that I can divide them again. So if I divide 8 by 2, I would get 4, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So again, I've made a simpler form, but I'm not sure it's the simplest yet because they still are both even. And when they're still both even, they both have a factor of 2. So let's divide them by 2 again. So 4 divided by 2 would be 2, and 6 divided by 2 would be 3. Now I see that they're not both even, so I'm thinking that maybe they're in their simplest form. If I go back to my rules, I can see that when they're in counting order, they're in simplest form. So since 2 and 3 are in counting order, that's going to be the simplest form of 16/24. So let's try number 2. We have 8/12. Since they're both even, I can divide them both by 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Well, they're both even again, so I can divide them both by 2 again. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. And I can see that they're in counting order, and that 2/3 is the simplest form of 8/12. So let's do one more. We have 10/22. They're both even, so I can divide them both by 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 22 divided by 2 is 11. Well, neither one of them are even, so I can't divide them by 2 again. So I need to check to make sure they're in their simplest form. So if I look at my rules, it says the denominator is prime, and I know 11 is a prime number, so 5/11 is in its simplest form. All right, you try some on your own, and if you need help, you can come back and rewatch the video. Good luck!